Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday LiveStream from Dulcimer Crossing. I've got my baritone dulcimer here, but you know what's even more fun than that? I've got a friend. Erin May is joining me from Wichita.
Hello.
Called Mountain and Baritone Dulcimers Playing Well Together. And you've got a standard dulcimer there, haven't you?
I do.
And I've got a baritone dulcimer here. They don't sound exactly the same, do they?
They don't sound like they're gonna play real nice right now.
And that's what happened to me. I won this one at the Walnut Valley Festival several years ago, and I brought it back to my campsite. I was so tickled. I've lost so many times in that contest, but this was the first time I got a prize. And I brought it back to the campsite, and I was so excited. And I sat down and started trying to play with my buddies, and nothing worked the way it used to work. It was tuned A, E, A. I was used to what Erin May has.
D, A, D.
And, you know, my buddies, they were fine with, playing whatever, but I had to understand what I was playing with. So do we have any songs in A? That was my first idea because I could just use the same fret numbers as I've used before. And if I play, like, I'm going to boil some cabbage, I'm using the same relationships, but now if you play a little boiling cabbage there, Erin May, and let's hear what that sounds like when you do it. That's where we expect it, right? That's where my ear remembers it, but this has got that rich low tones, and I fell in love with that. But then I had struggle trying to play with other folks. So if I could convince my friends to play with me in A, I'd be fine. I am a dulcimer player. I'm used to trying to convince people to play in my key.
Yes, but you've just got them all trained to play with you in D.
I know. So what are we going to do? Well, that's what the class is that Erin May and I developed for our course for Dulcimer Crossing. The how to play. I'm going to just let you see what it looks like when you first look for it. If you look for it by instrument, you're going to find it under Mountain Dulcimer. If you look for it by teacher, you can find it by looking at either Erin May or my lessons, or by skill level. This is in the Beyond Beginning level 2 classes. So here's a whole course. How many? We got a bunch of lessons here. But we did a side-by-side comparison of baritone and there's some written stuff here, baritone and standard, so we can see how the two instruments relate to each other, and talked about the baritone range. But then we started talking about our strategies. If we think like we're in the key of D, here's boiling cabbage with some backup chords. We had all kinds of strategies that are talked about here. But the first thing is, if I'm going to play with you, Erin May, and you're in D, what are the chords for playing this song?
Well, I am playing a D chord and a G chord and an A chord.
Okay, so, you said A chord. That's an A chord. I've got an A chord right
match.
There. Yay. I have to do something different, though. I'm playing all open strings. Yay, that's an A chord. And you played your 101. Is that what you did?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And they match. So now I need a D chord, you said. If that was my A, B, C sharp, D, I could bar at my 3rd fret and get a D chord. That would be an easy one.
Yes.
Now, can I get a G chord is the question. So I need A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G. 666. If I play my 666, I've got a G chord. So I'm going to chord. You go ahead and play the melody, and I'll we may not hear it in sync with each other, but I'm going to back you up. Okay.
Okay, let's do it. 1, 2, ready, play.
All right. So all I had to do was think of the chords in D while figuring out where those chord shapes are in here. And my strategy right now was bar chords because
Oh
that's
yeah.
the easiest, quickest way to do that. All I have to do is know the names of the notes. I said it was an AEA, so then I could just count up. And so that was my first strategy. Um, a second strategy that several people use is to retune their baritone to A, which is on the bottom, D in the middle, and A on the melody. Now, I've already got A's. Oh, let's talk about this. That play your middle string A, would you? Your middle string A matches my high string A. And if you play the first fret on your bass string, that matches my middle string on my baritone. So if I drop my middle string down a whole step, it matches the bass string on a standard instrument. So now I'm playing
Right.
A, D, A.
And I always think of that as being sort of the baritone tuning equivalent of DGD. If I was to tune this one, it's that like reverse tuning where the
Right,
key that I'm in is the note on the middle string.
right. So it's a 5-1-5 tuning rather than a 1-5-8 tuning.
Right. Right.
And now, so now I still have bar chords, right?
You do.
Now I do, but my low note is not the name of the chord. But if you play Boil 'em Cabbage while I'm like this, I can use bar chords again, but it's the bar chords I'm used to. D, G, A.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right. 1, 2, ready, go.
Now
Ooh,
that
fancy one.
it works. However, the thing my ear noticed was I'm used to having the lowest thing I hear be the name of the key we're in or the chord I'm
Uh-huh.
playing, and I don't have the lowest note. But so then I might say, what are the chord shapes for this tuning? And like
Mm-hmm.
you said, they're going to be related to the DGD kind of tuning. And
Mm-hmm.
so I could go do my DGD chords on this
Shapes.
instrument, those shapes, but it's going to sound like things related to
D.
D instead of G.
Right.
And so that's my next strategy. There was another one that I tried right off the bat. And I'm using my fourth fret on the bass string to tune my middle string because it's the same relationship, but the use of a capo. So I
Oh,
could
I didn't
put
know
my,
you could use a capo on a baritone.
so if I do the same as I would on a standard, I've just, I've changed my instrument. So when you put your capo on your third fret, it becomes a G focused instrument, right?
Right.
So, so I did the same thing, A, B, C sharp, D. So
Hmm.
essentially, I have a DAD instrument right now. So if I just count away from the capo, let's play them cabbage again.
1, 2, ready, play.
I'm playing the same chord shapes string so you can hear the difference between our instruments. And Jim is saying that we have Zoom generated syncopation. So that's like the name of a band, I think.
I think.
But I essentially have a DAD instrument. So if I have a bunch of DAD music and I want to play with my friends in D, this is a way to do that. However, the thing I like about my instrument is now missing all those low tones.
The low sounds,
So
right?
I have to make choices, right?
Hmm.
So what if you're a friend who says, I want to learn how to play an A while you play an A? What are the strategies that you're going to use in your standard instrument, Erin?
Well, like you, one of my first strategies is to use the capo. So if I capo at the fourth fret, so I'm still in DAD tuning, and I'm capoing at the fourth fret, which is going to give me an A bar chord. And so
Yep.
now I'm going to be one whole octave above the baritone.
Ooh, that sounds kind of mandolin-y, doesn't it?
It does. I'm getting up into the high range, and you got those nice, big, beefy low notes. So it's a really nice contrast, I think.
I like that. Now, if let's
Well, let's do
let
cabbages here, shall we?
okay, let's do cabbages this way. Let's do some low cabbage.
So Steve's playing like he was playing a standard dulcimer, and I'm playing counting 2, 3, and 1 frets above the capo. The important thing on the standard dulcimer to remember is that that second fret has to be 6.5, not 6, or else I'm going to end up with an A minor cabbage instead of an A major
You'll have
cabbage.
borscht.
I will, which I enjoy, but
Yeah. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we did was I played something I'd learned in a different tuning, but I played it on this instrument, which made the pitch of everything we're playing change to A. And you used your capo in order to match me where I am.
Mhm.
Do you have any other strategies for how that could happen?
Well, there are some other tunings that work on the standard dulcimer to put me into the key of A. And so EAE is a common one. And that, just like we were talking about with the ADA tuning on the baritone, the EAE tuning puts my dulcimer in open A, but with the key on the middle string, and the outside strings then are the fifth of the key. And it's like DGD, but a step up from there to put me in A matching. You can also use EAD to get some of the A tunes. And I like EAD tuning because the note name on the melody string stays the same. So I can still think about playing A, B, C sharp, D, E. And sometimes that's easier for me than trying to think about what it would be like if I retuned my melody string. I have also explored a little bit playing an EAA tuning. And then your melody string is still open do, and your bass string is the fifth, and your middle string is also the key that you're in. And so there's actually 3 alternate tunings that can work for the key of A.
So you said AEA,
No.
Oh,
So you're in AEA,
oh,
and
you
I would
said
be in
EAE,
EAE.
right? And then or EAD, which means you
Uh-huh.
just changed the bass string,
Right?
or E on the bass and then melody or the middle melody or AA.
Uh-huh.
So it's like
And that
one
would be
step away
like
from DAA.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
These instruments are just so versatile and
They
flexible.
are.
They can we it's like changing a chip in your it's like having a horse that you can change a chip in the horse and it goes from being a pacer to a racer to to a plow horse depending on what you need right now, and it doesn't hurt the
Right.
horse.
Right.
um so
Do, do you want me
the
to go into any of those tunings with
yeah,
your?
why don't you let's hear what happens when you do the one of them you pick.
All right. Well,
It's nice to be the one everyone's moving to.
the easy one is to just change the bass string. Right? That's the
Okay,
EAD tuning.
EAD. All right.
It doesn't sound good open. It doesn't give me those like bar chords and the open strumming. So I've got to fret something before it sounds right. But when I played Boil Them Cabbage Down a minute ago and I had the capo on the 4th fret and I started on 6.5, well, those fret numbers are going to stay the same in this tuning. So I
Okay.
can play Boil Them Cabbage Down and I can even use my 2-string chords. I just can't fret the bass string like I'm used to because that's
Okay.
the string that I changed the tuning of.
And
So
when you leave that bass string ringing, that's a technique, right? It's
it
it's a
is.
it's a drone technique which is common for mountain dulcimer. In the classical world, that's called a pedal tone. It's like holding a low note on the organ while you go ba-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, but you keep the bottom note just it was like you think dubstep was a new thing? No, that was something they were doing when they had pipe organs. Okay, so you want to
So
try
I
that?
also want to, I want to note how my strings are matching yours now too. So
Okay.
my bass string is matching your middle string now,
Yep.
and my middle string is matching your melody string.
Yes. Okay.
And then my melody string is something completely different, and your bass string is going lower than this instrument goes.
Right.
So our middle strings are matching.
Yep. All right. So let's do this again. 2, 3, 4. Now, the difference is you were an octave higher.
So yeah, my melody is still going to be up in that octave higher range, but now
Yeah.
I've got my lowest drone note is actually closer to the range that you were playing in rather than my
Right.
whole instrument being an octave higher. And so in some ways, my melody is still ringing in that really high range, but my drones are closer to matching you than they were when I used the capo.
So it would be a way for the dulcimer that you're playing to kind of jump out of an arrangement of playing many times through. It's like, oh, I do it in this place in this tuning. All of a sudden, there's this like it's like the flowers that I see trying to come out despite all the snow that keeps coming.
Indeed.
A lot of grape hyacinths and tulips and lilies right now that are wearing a frost. They're frosted today. Um,
Mm.
but so yeah, that one that's yeah. Now if you would you don't I don't think you have to move there, but if you do the EAE, we
Mhm.
basically be having the same idea, right? In terms of split.
Yes, my
You'd have
notes
to
would just
change
start at the 3rd fret. My scale would start at the 3rd fret. So my
right.
notes for Boil Them Cabbage Down would be 5, 6, 5,
Yeah,
4, 3.
right. Okay. Yes. All right, which is like playing DAA. The equivalent when I'm playing Boil Them Cabbage
Mhm.
in DAA, I start 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5,
Mhm.
5, 5, 5,
Mhm.
4. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. Um, now there are other strategies that we talk about in that course One being, and I had to mention this when we started because I was in a different tuning when I got here. So now if I tune G, D, G, but I go down from A, E, A, down a whole step from all the strings, I'm in G. And I actually have several students right now that love having their instrument in G in that low range, especially right now, those students are all women and they like having that support while their voice sings in a higher register. So the standard dulcimer kind of competed with their voice with who gets this
Right.
sonic space, and they ordered their baritones to be tuned to G, so they got set up and intonated that way, and then they play in this place so that their voice it's so beautiful to hear what that happen to hear them do that, but it's only a step away. It's not hard to do, and the instrument can sound very fine doing that.
So
This is
you
all.
mentioned the setup and the intonation. Is that like, if you have a baritone that you got for AEA tuning, it was set up for that. Do you have to get different strings or send it back to get it adjusted for G? What do you do?
I Here's the truth. I don't know. Because I've never done that. I know that when I tell them this is what this customer wants, they tune it that way, and I don't know what micro adjustments they make. I know that mine came set. It was built in back when they were first building the baritones. This is from McSpadden, and they provide the prizes for the Walnut Valley Festival. This is one of those early ones, and they built it so it would play in D. I mean, in A, be tuned that way. And I changed it sometimes. I'll change it down to G. I'll change it up to B flat. I've gone as far as B, but I don't really have any songs I sing in B, but I have several that I sing in A flat. And I know that on the guitar, I worked out where they go, and I thought, oh no, how am I ever going to play? Oh, A flat's only a half step away from A. So I went B flat, F, B flat instead of A, E, A. And now I've gone G, D, G. So there is a range in which all of our instruments can play.
Just like the standard dulcimer, you can tune it up and down a step or two, and you're not going to really run into trouble.
And it's only, in fact, here's the historic, just go back and review the history. See these holes right here? There's a process called hooing into the hole. La 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 la. That's the pitch. Everything, the whole instrument just started shaking like crazy. La la. This one really likes a different pitch, which
It
is not
does.
G, A, B, C, D. It likes D. So when you build
So
your
maybe
instrument,
it would like ADA tuning a lot, actually.
yes, yeah, it'll vibrate really lively. But the instruments are built, and then traditionally you'd sing into them, find out where they want to be that bass note to be, and then you'd make the rest of the strings match that bass note, and the instrument would sound its best. However, it may not match your voice, or when you get together with other friends, it may not match them. That's why people started building toward D.
Yeah.
And a couple comments here. Deborah's saying she can find her New Harmony baritone easy, no problem, from GDG to AEA. And my dulcimer orchestra arrangements having the baritone tune every which way. That is correct. and that's because sometimes the baritone part in those multiple instrument arrangements is playing a voice which the other instruments cannot play. So everybody else might be tuned to DAC or DAD or something, and the baritone has there's some particular things needed for that one. So we're going to tune this instrument so it can play in that ensemble. So that Deborah is very facile at doing that, and it helped her. I believe it helped her develop even deeper love for her baritone. That, and she loves to sing those blues tunes that suit her voice and soul.
Yeah. It definitely makes you more likely to pick up an instrument if you know that you can do more than one thing with it.
Yes.
If you only can do one thing, you can only play tunes you knew in D and A now. It doesn't create a great incentive for you to pick up that instrument. But if you know that you can do several different kinds of things with it.
Now, people are different though. Some people don't want anything different. Because that, and it's like me with alternate tunings on guitar. When I first started playing guitar, I looked and they said they retune it. Why would you ever do that? And so I would just skip those songs until finally I thought, I wonder why they would do that instead of keep away from me, I tried it. It's like, oh, I get that extra note. Now it messed up some things that I was used to. Oh, bummer. I don't like this. Now I'm back to that. I don't like it. And then I was like, but I really like to have that low note. Can I learn? So can I learn to adapt? And then now I have this one instrument that can do this thing if I do this one thing with it. And it's like having two instruments for the price of not buying another instrument. Oh, that's economically sound. I could talk myself into liking it.
I think you and I have talked about how I didn't really embrace retuning my standard dulcimer until I got my chromatic dulcimer. And I didn't ever have to retune in order to get the notes I needed. And that is when I started to realize the beautiful value of different tunings, because they all sound different and give you different kinds of things on the instrument. So I do understand the feeling of resistance. I may be familiar with that one.
You concede that you may be.
So I wonder, Steve, if you have favorite recordings that use the baritone dulcimer. Or do you have recordings where you played the baritone dulcimer?
On my Piece of It All, I did Beauty in the World, which is a tag I use for a lot of my Instagram posts, is a tune that I wrote in this tuning. When we get together and play She Thinks My Dulcimer Sexy, that's in A. I'll often do Ship May Be Safe in this tuning, although sometimes
Orphan
Train. Oh, I see you were leading me down a path. I see. Orphan Train, yes.
I like that one. That's one of my favorites. I also, one of the kind of iconic baritone and standard duet recordings, I think, is on the Dulcimer album that was David Schnoffer and Steven Seifert playing together. And David played Capo 4, DAD Capo 4, and Steven Seifert played the baritone dulcimer in A. And they played, I think, Wild Rose of the Mountain and Black Mountain Rag. There's like 2 or 3 tunes on that recording that are duets with a standard and baritone. I just don't know actually of that many recordings with baritone dulcimer. So if you're trying to learn an instrument, listening for recordings is a good.
That's good. Yes. The Baritone Lab here on Facebook that DJ Homoris hosts is a place where people who love baritone things are gathering and sharing things with each other. There are sometimes when they have live events like this. So if you're on Facebook right now, go find and join the Baritone Lab. There is also possibly a baritone gathering in the works. I'm not in charge of that, but we'll certainly let everybody know when that kind of event might happen. Larry and Elaine Conger are people who do baritone and standard arrangements, and so they're in the East and doing that. There's one more strategy we didn't talk about, And that's using the baritone to play a bass line.
Oh.
So so if you do the boil 'em cabbage again, I'm going to go back to thinking how I did when I was doing my bar chords.
Uh-huh.
Here's my D, and there's my G, and I've got an A down here. So if I play bass line, not bass melody or melody and low strings, I'm just going to play the
Mm-hmm.
bass line. So go ahead and count us in because you're the leader.
1, 2, ready, go.
Now, that may not. Thanks for putting that link in there for the Baritone Lab. You can go and join right now. The I All I did was play bass line, and I played the ones and the fives of the chords. So a D and an A, and then for the G chord, a G and a D. And when I was playing the A chord, I played an A and an E. Now, I could play it on the middle string, but when I'm playing bass, I don't want it to ring forever. So I keep lifting up in between the notes, more like old timey or bluegrass bass.
Nice.
So that, do you have anything more about that, Erin May?
Just I like it. I like the bass notes on the baritone strategy very much.
So there, you don't have to buy a new dulcimer. You can just play your dulcimer in a different way, and it takes a different part. In my bluegrass class, which is my part of my 6 weeks class is going on right now, we've been working on the chop, but we're going to start talking about what the bass part is. And every time I'm in person with people teaching that class, I have one group of bass, which are the boomers, one goose of the chop, which are the choppers or the chuckers, depending on which name they want, and one group's the lickers, and they're the ones that place the lick, don't or the da. So that's sideways and fun. Before we go, I want to highlight that registration is open for the Berkeley Dulcimer Gathering, at which there will be baritone classes taught by DJ Homoris. And the registration is open for this. This is a virtual festival. This will be the third year it's virtual. And what are some of the benefits? We were talking about virtual festivals, Erin May.
Well, there's the benefits that we've kind of gotten used to around, getting a front row seat and being able to hear your teacher very clearly because no one else is making any sound in the classroom to distract or disrupt it. Your classmates come from all over the world, and it's been amazing to get to know folks from places that we wouldn't normally meet each other because we are geographically separated. But I also have been thinking about, I don't know about y'all, but my life keeps feeling a little bit more frantic as more and more things become available. And I am also sort of viewing this weekend at the Berkeley Dulcimer Gathering as a weekend that I know I get to play my dulcimer all weekend long, and I'm not going to have other distractions of things. So it has felt really good to me to just block off some time on my calendar and know this weekend I'm not going to get wrapped up in the sort of frantic rush to do all the things that I didn't do before. I'm just going to focus in on that time with my dulcimer. So I'm looking forward to that.
And as a teacher, I love that I don't have to talk over people who are working on the things we're talking about because they're muted and they like not everybody else not hearing their mistakes and not being irritated by the person over there in that window over there playing while they're playing. So there are some things we found that are real benefits. But the other thing is, it costs a lot of money to travel to festivals, and I have to pay lodging because I don't get to sleep in my own bed. And so I'm probably not going to get to go to as many in-person things, right? But this is a way that I can get ready with my skills for that next big thing that I'm saving up my big bundle of money for. I could do this as a way of getting ready for that. So it ends up being economical preparation and a continuing investment in my musical skills and joy.
Joy, indeed. Joy. And I will say the Berkeley Dulcimer Gathering and the way that it is formatted, especially on Saturday, is also very focused on community building. And so there are a lot of opportunities for you to like hang out and chat with each other and have that piece of the experience too. So if you're really intent on wanting to just have education, there are Sunday 2-hour intensives. And if you want to have sort of the feel of a festival from the comfort of your living room, the Saturday structure is really set up for that. And I love that both of those are focuses with that festival. So.
And there's a bonus this year. We talked about this instrument being part of multi-instrumental ensembles. In the middle part of the day, we're gathering people who arrange instruments for multi-instrumental ensembles. Like I do that. Mac and Melanie Johnston from North Carolina, who are part of the First National Dulcimer Orchestra, Kirk and Judy House, who are the founders of that orchestra that meets weekly to play multi-part arrangements while distanced, and then they get together and play at different festivals. It's just so exciting. But
it is.
and Toll Glazner is going to be there. We have a lot of people going to talk about how do you arrange. So there'll be a roundtable for multi-part instrumentalists talking about what are our ideas for how we arrange the music for people to be able to play a lot of different parts together. So that's a special feature. We haven't done that before. That's a new thing this year. That takes place on Sunday. Well, wow, we could probably do this for a long time, couldn't we, Erin May?
We could.
and our joy would just be multiplied even more. But we want to thank you so much for joining us today for this Wednesday live stream. This will be archived on our YouTube channel. It'll be archived here on Facebook as well as Vimeo, where this is coming from. So I guess this was technically, Jim, a Vimeo instead of Zoom. What'd you call this? I'm going to go look.
Syncopation.
Vimeo generated syncopation. I don't think that sounds as good as Zoom. It's too many syllables. So that it'll be archived there. It'll also be archived in our past events in the live event section. Oh, that's one more thing I wanted to remember. Next week, we are excited that we have a live workshop with Heidi Muller, who is my neighbor here. She's in the far northeast corner of Oregon and Joseph, and she is an amazing songwriter, and her dulcimer is sometimes her inspiration for songwriting. So this workshop takes place a week from tomorrow, April 21st at 5 p.m. Mountain. You'll have to do the time conversions, but Erin May and I will host her as we as she shares her pearls of wisdom about using her instrument as a partner for songwriting. And if you are a workshop or a mentor level Dulcimer Crossing, you automatically get access to this workshop. If you want to just come for this one, there's a way to purchase. I just put that into the feed so that you can get your ticket there and join us. And
Fabulous.
I guess that's it for now, but we're planning to see each other again and do something like this next time. North Carolina here. Way welcome, Tim. So it'll be 7 p.m. your time.
That's right. Yeah.
But next month we're going to talk about, what are we talking about next month?
We made a plan. I forgot it though.
Okay, it's going to be a secret, even from us.
It's a good plan though. I remember. I was excited about it.
So stay tuned. I'll be here next week, and then next month Erin May and I will both be here to do that, whatever special plan it is. It's going to be a surprise for all of us. But for now, I'm just going to say thank you, and we'll see you next time. Keep strumming and picking.